My name is Pat McCann. I'm the wide receivers coach here at University of Northern Iowa. Today what we're going to talk about is just kind of our basic route break progression, really that we start from the ground up in terms of using with our receivers here. All right, so our basic route break progression is that we start with, we want to be as violent as we can with our hips, and we want to be as efficient as we can with our feet. So the first thing we do is what we call our red light, green light. We'll do this a couple different ways. We'll do it with either verbal cues or we'll just use cones. But all we're looking to do is to push as hard as we can vertical and sink as abruptly as we can with our hips as low as we can. The biggest thing with it, we want to make sure our shoulders aren't rocking back and that we are accelerating, and we say burst, sink, and then we want to reburst. So here, all we're doing is we are looking to burst and then we're looking to sink as abruptly as we can. Now, the next step is we want to be as efficient as we can with our feet. So to me, the biggest thing is every athlete's going to be a little bit different. So if you're looking at it, you know, you've got a guy that might be 6'3" here, that we want to be as efficient as we can with our feet. So we talk about a punch and a pivot step with that back foot. We don't want to lift our foot up. We don't want to waste any time. We don't want to waste any steps. The other side of it, we talk about we don't want to spin our tires. We don't want to run, we don't want to move our feet in the same spot. We want to make sure that we are always gaining ground. So you see here, this receiver, he punches his foot in the ground, and then that back foot is actually helping him pivot to transition back out of the break. So for us, again, the biggest thing, violent hips, efficient feet. We want to waste the least amount of steps possible. Now we will use this two-step progression basically with all the breaks in our offense. The other side of this is that we will start with this where we will actually walk the steps, because when we talk about it, we want to make sure that we are not wasting any movement at the top of routes. So here, this is a chance for us to say, hey, we're going to put this into the last two steps of the break, try and be perfect with it. And again, you just see here that every athlete's just a slightly different, but at the end of the day, we want to be as efficient as we can with our feet. Now, what we'll do is this is a way for us to get also a lot of catches into it as well. So we'll split up into multiple groups, we'll give a finish cone, and then again, we will look to incorporate all of the different breaks in our offense. So those last ones, what we call our V-cut, our 45-degree break, these are our 90-degree breaks. And again, for us, it's just a way for us to take the legs out of it. It's a low impact drill for these guys, but at the same time, it's a chance for them to really work on the fine-tuning the mechanics of it. Now, what you'll see is this being applied is at the top of this thing, there's probably a few too many steps at the top, but right here you see 1, 2, and I'm out. And that's what we're looking for, is how can we get right to this point and what we call here our punch and our pivot step right there to accelerate back out of the break. Now here's a game example of it. You see here the receiver here at the bottom of the screen, and when he pushes at the top, he's gonna sink. So this is where the red light, green light applies. So he's gonna push, he's gonna sink, and then there's that 1, 2 to accelerate back out of the break. Now here, the receiver, you can see here at the bottom of the screen, okay, he's gonna run a comeback into the boundary here. And all we're looking to do is we're looking to push as hard as we can into the top and then waste the least amount of steps possible to then accelerate out of the break. Again, the receiver here at the bottom, another comeback example. So for us, again, we're gonna push as hard as we can, we're gonna sink at the top as violently as low as we can, and then waste the least amount of steps to accelerate back out. The example I use is if you're walking down a hallway, you want to make sure that you are trying to minimize the steps to efficiently get out of it. Okay. Now, the next progression, so for us, we talk about red light, green light, the last two steps, and then at the end of at the top of the break, with a defender at your hip. We don't want to overdo it. We're not trying to do all these crazy drills. We're trying to say what actually applies. So what we're looking for here is we're looking for the receiver to continue to accelerate. You can see both arms driving there. You're not necessarily looking to push into the guy as much as you are looking to simulate actually running. You can see here, right here's a great example on the left of both arms are pumping, his arms are driving. Now this again simulating extra contact at the top. So we talk a lot about making sure that at the top of routes, we want to finish with the defender. We want it to be as realistic as possible. Another good example here, driving both arms, being aggressive and physical at the top of it. We'll also do it with a defender there, okay, just simulating it. But again, it's just an easy way for us to take the legs out for a receiver. Now here, using it, again, typically at the top of most routes, at 10 to 12 yards, there's usually going to be a defender there. So what we talk about all the time is the tighter the defender, the tighter the turn. Here you can see the same footwork applies as far as the 1-2 at the top, but now he has to be able to be physical at the top and then accelerate back out of the break. Another example of it. The tighter the defender, the tighter the turn, but it's the same 1-2 footwork at the top, the same punch and pivot. And then we want to be tight turn coming out of it. The tighter the defender, the tighter the turn. Now here's a game example of the same thing. Receiver down here at the bottom is going to run a comeback versus a press corner. Same thing at the top. He gets to the top. He wants to be physical at the top. Violent at the top. Same hip sync. Same 1-2 at the top. Accelerate back out of the break. Another example here. Come back into the boundary versus a press corner. He's going to work his release. He's going to get to the top of it. And again, our goal is to be the least amount of steps at the top. Same 1-2. And the reason why we utilize, why we rep it so much, the reason why we drill it so much with the defender on our hip is because that's the way the game's played for us. We want to make sure that our guys are comfortable at the top of breaks with the defender on their hip.